What if everything we know about history is just the surface? What if beneath the myths, the ruins, and the silences lie the warnings of civilizations erased, the shadows of powers we were never meant to remember? In this episode, we descend deeper into vaults sealed with impossible stones, into stories buried by empire and erased by science, into truths so ancient they don't just challenge our past, they threaten our future. From temples no one dares to open, to symbols carved for eyes that looked from the sky. Welcome to episode 8 of Ancient Mysteries. You weren't supposed to find this, but now that you're here, there's no turning back. 1. The Tomb of the Nine Unknown. India's secret brotherhood of knowledge. In ancient India, under the reign of Emperor Ashoka the Great, a legend was born, not of war, but of forbidden knowledge. After witnessing the horrors of the Kalinga War, where over 100,000 people perished, Ashoka embraced peace and swore to protect humanity not just from violence, but from itself. So he formed a secret society. 9 men, brilliant minds, chosen from across his empire, each entrusted with a book, each book containing dangerous, transformative knowledge. Together, they became known as the Nine Unknown. What were in those books? Ancient sources claim they covered topics like propaganda, mind control, biological warfare, gravity manipulation, time travel, and communication with extraterrestrial life. The mission of the Nine Unknown was clear: preserve knowledge that could either save the world or destroy it, and keep it hidden until humanity was ready. The society supposedly survived for over 2,000 years, working in silence, influencing history from behind the curtain. Some say they passed their secrets through generations. Others believe the Nine are replaced, not reborn, their identities always hidden. French author Louis Pauwels and Jacques Bergier popularized the tale in their 1960 book, The Morning of the Magicians, suggesting the Nine Unknown were real and that modern scientific breakthroughs echo the contents of their secret books. And then there's the tomb. Deep in India, there are rumors of a sealed chamber, never excavated, guarded, and protected for centuries, said to be the resting place of one of the Nine. Inside, perhaps one of the original books, or something far older, passed down to the Brotherhood from beings not of this world. No one has opened it. No one is allowed. Whether myth, metaphor, or suppressed truth, the Nine Unknown remain a tantalizing symbol of the power behind the veil. Because the greatest secret is not what they knew. It's that they may still be here. 2. Göbekli Tepe's burial. Why was the world's oldest temple buried on purpose? In the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey lies a site that has shattered everything we thought we knew about human history. A place older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, older even than writing itself. This is Göbekli Tepe, a megalithic temple complex built over 11,000 years ago by people who, according to textbooks, should have still been hunting with spears. With its towering T-shaped pillars, intricate animal carvings, and astronomically aligned enclosures, Göbekli Tepe wasn't a village or a farm. It was a monument built with intention, precision, and spiritual purpose. But then, something strange happened. The site was buried, deliberately, carefully, completely. The enclosures were filled with debris stone tools, animal bones, broken artifacts placed in layers that suggests the builders themselves returned to bury what they had once raised. This wasn't erosion. This wasn't collapse. This was a ceremonial sealing. But why? Some archaeologists suggest it was a ritual perhaps marking the end of a sacred era. Others believe it was to preserve the site for the future, a kind of time capsule for generations to come. Then there are more unsettling theories. What if Göbekli Tepe was buried to hide something: knowledge, danger, or memory? What if those who built it were not supposed to have built it at all? The carvings on the pillars of vultures, scorpions, and cosmic symbols appear to encode astronomical information, possibly tied to cataclysmic events, like a comet impact around 10,800 BCE. Some researchers believe the site commemorates or warns of a disaster that reset civilization. If so, Göbekli Tepe may not have been the beginning, but a monument to something that came before. A final chapter in a book we've never read. And the people who buried it, they didn't forget. They chose silence. Because some memories were never meant to survive. 3. The Black Knight satellite, an alien artifact in Earth's orbit. In the vast silence of Earth's orbit, among satellites, debris, and starlight, something is watching. For decades, astronomers, radio operators, and even astronauts have reported an anomalous object circling our planet, a dark, irregular satellite, out of sync with modern technology, moving in an orbit that shouldn't exist. It has been named the Black Knight. The legend begins as early as 1899, when inventor Nikola Tesla claimed to have intercepted a signal from space, a rhythmic, repeated transmission that seemed non-terrestrial. He was dismissed, but decades later, in the 1920s, amateur radio operators began reporting similar signals, pulses, and patterns that no known source could explain. Then came the photos. In 1960, a U.S. Navy satellite tracking mission detected a large, unidentified object in polar orbit, something no country had the technology to place there. Just 3 years later, in 1963, astronaut Gordon Cooper reportedly saw a greenish object pass his spacecraft during orbit. NASA denied it. But in 1988, during the STS-88 mission of the Space Shuttle Endeavour, a series of photographs taken by NASA showed something else. A black, angular object floating above Earth. Not debris, not a known satellite, something that looked built. NASA claimed it was a thermal blanket that came loose. Many didn't believe them. Theories exploded that the Black Knight was an ancient alien probe, left to observe us, that it had been transmitting data about Earth for thousands of years. Some linked it to ancient myths of sky gods, to the Nine Unknown, even to the Drapa stones. But what if the Black Knight has been there long before Sputnik, long before we were ready to notice it? Watching, listening, waiting. We scan the skies for signs of life, but maybe the signal is already here and has been for a very, very long time. 4. Mount Kailash, the forbidden pyramid of the Himalayas, towering over the Tibetan plateau at over 6,600 meters, surrounded by eternal snow and sacred silence, stands Mount Kailash. Revered by 4 major religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon. It is called the Axis Mundi, the center of the world, the stairway to the heavens. But there's one thing that makes Kailash unique. No one has ever reached its summit. Not for lack of trying. Climbers have approached, studied, even planned expeditions. But every attempt has been stopped by weather, by accidents, or by law. The Chinese government has banned all ascents, officially in respect of its religious significance. But many believe the real reason lies deeper, because Kailash may not be what it appears to be. From a distance, Mount Kailash doesn't look like other mountains. Its 4 near-perfect faces align almost exactly with the cardinal directions. Its slopes are unnaturally symmetrical, with sharp edges, flat plains, and a peak that resembles a step pyramid. Some researchers, architects, and remote sensing analysts have proposed a radical theory that Mount Kailash is actually an ancient, man-made structure, a pyramid on an unimaginable scale, covered in millennia of rock and ice. Legends say that Kailash is the abode of Shiva, the god of destruction and rebirth. That time flows differently here. Pilgrims who circle the mountain on foot speak of visions, altered states, and spiritual transformation. Ancient texts from India and Tibet hint at a city beneath the mountain, tunnels that connect to other sacred sites across Asia, and a structure that predates known civilization. Some link it to the mythical continent of Lemuria, others to a forgotten star race. So what is Kailash? A sacred monument? A forgotten machine? Or something else hidden, humming, and alive? Perhaps we're not forbidden to climb it because it's sacred, but because it's not meant to be touched. And whatever sleeps beneath the snow still dreams. 5. The Book of Thoth, a text said to open the gates of the universe. In the temples and tombs of ancient Egypt, one name appears again and again: Thoth, the god of wisdom, magic, writing, and the moon. The divine scribe, the keeper of secrets, the architect of reality itself. And hidden in the myth of Thoth is a book he is said to have written not with ink, but with cosmic knowledge. A book that contained the language of creation, the secrets of the stars, the keys to immortality, and the power to speak with gods and control life and death. The ancient Egyptians called it the Book of Thoth. Legends say it was buried deep, locked in an iron box, floating in the Nile, hidden in a labyrinth protected by traps, serpents, and curses. And that whoever reads it would gain ultimate knowledge and suffer ultimate doom. One story tells of a prince named Setne Kamwas who discovered the book and read its pages aloud. He gained powers beyond imagination, but was soon haunted by the dead, cursed by the gods, and driven to madness. Was it just myth or memory of a real, forbidden text? Some scholars link the Book of Thoth to the Emerald Tablets, a series of arcane writings said to hold alchemical wisdom passed down from Atlantis. Others believe it may have been hidden in the Library of Alexandria, destroyed before it could ever be translated. Occult societies, including the Hermetic Order, believe fragments of the book survive, encoded in symbols, rituals, and geometry. Some say it is not a physical book at all, but a frequency, a code that can be unlocked only by those who remember who they truly are. But perhaps the real danger is not the power within the book, but what happens after you understand it. Because if Thoth was the scribe of the gods, then what he wrote may not just change reality, it may rewrite it. 6. The Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid, a resonant machine. Deep within the Great Pyramid of Giza, past narrow shafts and rising corridors, lies a chamber that has puzzled architects, engineers, and mystics for centuries. A space that seems to serve no funerary purpose. A space designed not for the dead, but for something else. This is the Grand Gallery, over 8 meters high, with precision-cut walls, ascending steps, and a corbelled ceiling that narrows like a tuning fork. The Grand Gallery defies explanation. It leads to the so-called King's Chamber, but unlike any known tomb, there is no body, no writing, no offerings. What it does have is resonance. Sound experiments conducted inside the gallery and the King's Chamber have revealed remarkable acoustic properties. Certain frequencies, especially those near 110 Hz and 432 Hz, create sustained vibrations that reverberate through the stone like a tuning chamber. Could the Great Pyramid have been a machine? Not for burial, but for energy, for consciousness, or even for communication. Some researchers believe the pyramid acted as a harmonic resonator, amplifying natural Earth frequencies, possibly in conjunction with water channels beneath it. Others suggest it could focus subtle energies, used for healing, initiation, or even interstellar connection. The Grand Gallery may have been the activation chamber, a space where human voice, chant, or vibration interacted with the geometry to trigger a higher state, or power an unknown technology. And then there's the mystery of its silence. No hieroglyphs, no explanation, just polished granite, aligned stars, and perfect math. A monument too precise for its time. A space waiting not to be worshipped, but activated. If the Great Pyramid was ever switched on, the Grand Gallery was the key, and perhaps what it was built to do is something we've only just begun to remember. 7. The Gate of the Gods, Aramu Muru, portal to another world in Peru. On the shores of Lake Titicaca, nestled among the red sandstone cliffs of the Peruvian highlands, lies a carved doorway, leading to nowhere. Flat, imposing, mysterious. This is Armumuru, also known as the Gate of the Gods. Local legends say the door is ancient, predating the Inca, possibly older than time itself. And they say it's not just a symbol, but a portal, carved directly into a sheer rock face. The gate consists of a 7-meter wide facade with a smaller, human-sized inset. The shape is strange geometric, precise, unlike the surrounding natural formations. According to legend, a high Incan priest named Amaru Muru fled Spanish conquest carrying a sacred golden disc believed to be a key gifted by the gods. He came to this place, performed a ritual, and vanished into the stone. Locals say that even today, at sunrise and sunset, the doorway glows. Travelers report feelings of dizziness, visions, and distorted time. Some say they've seen beings of light. Others say they lost time entirely. Is it just suggestion or a relic of forgotten technology? Some researchers believe the structure could be part of an ancient energy grid with Aramu Muru acting as a nodal point, capable of manipulating energy, sound, or consciousness. Others suggest it was a stargate part of a system once used by beings not of this world. The area is littered with strange rock formations, like nearby Hayu Marca, often called the City of the Gods, with no clear signs of human construction. Did a civilization long before the Inca know how to phase between dimensions? Or was Aramu Muru meant as a marker? A reminder of what we've forgotten? Or worse, what we were never meant to find? Either way, it stands silent and still. A doorway carved for no man to walk through. A gate that just might still be waiting. 8. The Sacsayhuaman Walls, impossible stonework of the Andes. High in the Peruvian Andes, just outside the city of Cusco, stands the ancient citadel of Sacsayhuaman. At first glance, it looks like a ruin, but look closer, and it becomes something else entirely. The walls of Sacsayhuaman are built from massive stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, and they're not uniform. Each block is a unique polygon, with multiple faces, angles, and cuts, all fitting together with absolute perfection. There is no mortar, no filler, and yet the stones have stood for centuries, surviving earthquakes that leveled nearby buildings. So how did they do it? Mainstream archaeology credits the Inca, claiming they used stone tools, ropes, and ramps to carve and transport the stones. But that explanation has gaps, massive ones. How do you carve a 1-ton stone with bronze chisels? How do you lift it, tilt it, and place it into a 12-angle slot with millimeter precision without machinery, lasers, or cranes? Some researchers believe Sacsayhuaman was built by a civilization before the Inca, perhaps thousands of years earlier. Others propose that the stones were softened using lost technology, perhaps involving sound, vibration, or unknown chemical processes. Even more fringe theories suggest anti-gravity, resonance levitation, or extraterrestrial assistance, pointing to legends of Viracocha, the white-bearded god who brought civilization to the Andes. But here's the strangest part. The blocks are not just functional, they're aesthetic. Their arrangement is organic, flowing, almost artistic, as if the builders weren't just trying to erect a wall, but to embed a message in stone. Perhaps the real secret of Sacsayhuaman isn't how it was built, but what it's still doing, standing, silent, precise like a code, waiting to be read, not decoded by tools, but by consciousness itself. Because sometimes, the stone doesn't speak to our hands. It speaks to something much older and deeper within us. 9. The Ark of the Covenant. Hidden power or ancient technology? It's one of the most famous artifacts in human history, described in the Bible as the vessel that held the stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, carved by the hand of God, covered in gold, guarded by angels, and kept in the holiest chamber of Solomon's temple. This is the Ark of the Covenant. But the Ark wasn't just sacred, it was deadly. According to Scripture, it could level cities, part rivers, and strike people dead if touched improperly. When carried into battle, the Israelites were unstoppable. When mishandled, it killed. But here's where the mystery deepens. The Ark disappeared over 2,500 years ago, lost during the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem. Since then, its trail has gone cold, or perhaps deliberately hidden. Some claim it was smuggled to Ethiopia, where the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion guards a sealed chapel said to house it. Others believe it was buried in the ruins of Solomon's temple, or hidden by secret societies like the Knights Templar. But beyond location lies the bigger question. What was it? Its dimensions and materials: an acacia wood box overlaid with gold, with two cherubim facing each other, are precise. Inside, according to biblical texts, were not just the tablets, but a rod that budded, and a mysterious vessel of manna. Some theorists propose the Ark was more than symbolic, that it was a kind of capacitor, storing electrical energy between the gold plates and acting like an ancient power source. Others suggest it was a communication device, enabling direct contact with a higher intelligence or even extraterrestrial beings' legs. The priests who handled it wore special garments, entered shielded chambers, and followed detailed rituals, almost like technicians, not just worshippers. So was the Ark of the Covenant divine? Or was it a fragment of lost technology misinterpreted by ancient eyes as the work of gods? Perhaps the real power of the Ark was never in the object itself, but in what it connected us to. 10. The hidden chamber beneath the Sphinx. What lies below? On the edge of the Giza Plateau, lying in eternal watch beside the pyramids, is a creature carved from stone, half lion, half man. Older than any pharaoh's name, older perhaps than Egypt itself. This is the Great Sphinx. For centuries, the Sphinx has guarded its secrets, weathered by time, buried and unburied by shifting sands. But in the 1990s, a team of geologists and seismologists made a startling discovery. Using ground-penetrating radar, they detected a large, rectangular cavity beneath the Sphinx's paws. A chamber that should not exist. Egyptian authorities confirmed the data, but no excavation was ever permitted. The official reason? Preservation. The whispered reason? Suppression. According to ancient texts, from Plato to Arab historians, a hall of records was hidden somewhere beneath the sands of Giza. A vault containing scrolls, tablets, and devices from a lost civilization, some say from Atlantis itself. The American mystic Edgar Cayce predicted in the 1930s that a chamber would be found beneath the Sphinx, and that it would contain the true history of mankind. Was he right? The location matches, the dimensions match, and yet the chamber remains sealed. Some speculate that the chamber holds pre-dynastic knowledge records from a time before the flood, before kings, before memory. Others say it may contain technologies or genetic archives left behind by a vanished race. And then there are those who warn that what lies beneath the Sphinx is not meant to be found, that the chamber is not a library, but a lock holding back something we are not yet ready to face. Whatever the truth may be, one fact remains. The Sphinx stares forward, but what it guards is beneath. And for now, that secret sleeps. 11. The crystal skulls. Ancient artifacts or alien tools. In museums, private collections, and remote temples across the world, they appear. Perfectly sculpted, seamless, cold, crystal skulls, made from solid quartz, often clear or smoky thackon, carved with anatomical precision. Some of them defy logic. The most famous, the so-called Mitchell-Hedges skull, was allegedly discovered in 1924 in the ruins of a Mayan temple in Belize, weighing over 5 kilograms, carved against the grain of the crystal. With no visible tool marks, even the jaw is articulated. Modern crystal experts, including those at Hewlett-Packard, once examined the skull and concluded that its level of craftsmanship would be impossible to achieve today, especially without fracturing the quartz. So, how were they made? Mainstream archaeologists claim many skulls are 19th century fakes, carved with rotary tools in Europe. Some are, but not all. At least a few of the skulls have no known origin, show no machining traces, and cannot be dated by carbon methods. And then there are the legends. Ancient Mesoamerican lore speaks of 13 crystal skulls, each holding part of a greater truth. When united, they are said to reveal the origins of humanity and possibly the fate of the world. Shamans and sensitives claim the skulls can store consciousness, transmit energy, or even induce visions and downloads as if they're more than artifacts. They're devices. Could the skulls be remnants of a lost technology Atlantean, Lemurian, or extraterrestrial? Or are they keys left behind by an older intelligence to awaken something buried inside us? Either way, they remain unchanging, silent, and inexplicably perfect. And whether carved by gods or men, their presence whispers one truth. Knowledge isn't always written in books. Sometimes it's encoded in stone, waiting to be activated. 12. The Valley of Spirits. Whispering winds and vanishing explorers in Siberia. Deep within the frozen expanse of Yakutia, Siberia, far from cities and maps, lies a region avoided even by the most hardened nomads. They call it Ulyuyu Cherkachek, the Valley of the Death Spirits. The Evenki and Yakut tribes warn travelers, do not camp there, do not listen to the wind, and never stay the night. The reason? Stories of metallic domes buried in the ground, hot to the touch, indestructible and humming faintly. Tales of strange illnesses, of people who go mad or fall into deep comas after visiting, of disappearances, and of travelers found, but not entirely right. According to local lore, the valley is a place of ancient battles, where sky beings once fought above the earth. The remnants of their weapons, they say, are still there hidden under moss and frost. Some describe the domes as half-spheres, partially sunk into permafrost. Others say they're part of a larger structure buried long ago, deliberately. But here's what's chilling. Russian expeditions sent to investigate in the 1930s and 1950s never returned. Modern satellite scans show anomalous heat signatures, electromagnetic interference, and geometric patterns below the ground. And the whispers? Many who've been there hunters, geologists, pilots, report hearing voices in the wind. Not howling, but language. Words they cannot understand, or sometimes their own names, spoken softly. Could the valley be home to a buried technology still active? A prison holding something ancient, or an antenna receiving something from far beyond? Or is it a place where realms thin, where dimensions bleed, and time does not behave as it should? Whatever lies beneath the frost and soil of Yakutia, it doesn't want to be found, and perhaps it doesn't want us to leave. From a stone gate carved into the Peruvian cliffs, to walls too perfect to be explained, to ancient skulls that hum with memory, and winds that whisper in languages no one remembers. In this episode, we stepped through gates not of metal or wood, but of stone, sound, and consciousness. What if these gates weren't meant to be passed through physically, but understood? What if the true path forward lies in remembering what was locked away, not by time, but by choice? Stay curious, stay silent. Because when you listen closely, the unseen always speaks.